All right, guys. So, Shavu Tov, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I just want to tell you guys, like, one simple thing. And I'm not here to, badmouth anybody, bash anybody. I'm just telling you this what happens in the kosher wine industry or in the wine industry in the Jewish world. What normally happens, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do tonight, contrasting to that. Usually what happens is a bunch of people get together, either in a restaurant, in a private room, or in somebody's house, and they say, okay, we're going to have a wine tasting, we're going to sit down, and we're going to be, have some food, and we're going to be connoisseurs. We're going to taste the wine, we're going to be like, okay, this is like this wine is like this. It's a bunch of Jews, a bunch of Orthodox Jews, and they sit down, some Orthodox, some secular, and they sit down and they start doing this whole, like, this is the nuance of this wine, this is the note of this wine, what year is this, what year is that, and they're all like hoity-toity, blah, blah, blah. I'm not against enjoying life, I'm not against tasting wine. The thing that a little bit bothers me is that why are Jews trying to be French, Italian, and Spanish? Why aren't Jews trying to be Jews? The premise of our business, myself and my partner Yehoshua, you guys will meet him, he's on his way. So, what we want to do is we want to take wines from the land of Israel, and basically every winery has a story. Shiloh Winery, Har Bracha, Beitel, Psagot. Every single winery has a story from the Torah, from Jewish history, and this is what we want to bring out. Moreover, we want to be who we are. We want to be the Jews, and we want to show the world that instead of joining their theme is being a connoisseur and being a what's called Epicurean lifestyle. We have our own theme, which is connected to wine, which is connected to our holidays and our culture and Purim and Shabbat and Havdalah and Brit Milah and all these things that we can't even have without wine, which transcends connoisseurism. It transcends anything any other nation is doing. Because, God forbid, if you take away wine from the French people and the Spanish people and the Italian, there's still going to be Italians and French and Spanish. If you take away wine from us, we may not even have a religion left. God forbid. So, with that said, guys, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and this is going to be something different, something special. We're going to bring you guys, we're going to take you guys kind of on a journey. We're going to bring you guys the history of the place that's called Shiloh. Just a quick primer. Shiloh was the capital of Israel for 369 years before we even have Jerusalem. Wow. And it's something, most people who are the pro-Israel, the advocacy stuff, they don't talk about this at all. I don't know what the reason is, political maybe. You don't want to get into the whole, they call it settlements, whatever. It's nonsense, if you ask me. And we have like a few wineries in that area where people are making wine, and every winery is connected to something in the Torah and something in Jewish history. We have a winery in Tekoa, we have a winery in Har Bracha, a winery in Beitel, a winery in Hebron, Shiloh, Psagot. It's all our history, it's all our heritage, and it's the cradle of our civilization. And it's really a crime to not give this over to people, and to connect it with the wine. I think it's something very, very special. So, l'chaim, guys, thank you for coming. So now I just want to bring up Amichai, the winemaker, and he's gonna say a few words.
I'm Amichai from Shiloh Winery. It's very noisy, so that way you'll hear me less and you'll be able to eat and drink more. Okay? The first wine that we're having now with what the chef brought out is a wine that we called Privilege. Okay? It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Syrah, and Grenache. And if you look carefully on the label, it says Yechezkel Lamed Vav Chet. You can pass it around and look at it, okay? So it took a couple of weeks till finally somebody asked me, what does it mean? And the idea behind it is so people will, it's like a teaser, okay? You'll want to know what that pasuk is. And the pasuk says, ואתם ערי ישראל, ענפיכם תיתנו ופרייכם תישאו לעמי ישראל כי קרבו לבוא. In the easy translation, it basically means that the hills and the mountains in Israel will finally flourish again, and they'll give fruit because Bnei Israel are coming back to the land. Because the idea is, it says in the Gemara that you're not supposed to try and predict when the Mashiach is going to come. Because if you try and predict, a lot of problems can happen, because that time that you're going to predict might come and go, and it can cause a lot of trouble. And over history, we've seen that this has happened, that people try to predict when Mashiach is going to come, and eventually that time came and went, and it caused a lot of sorrow. But the Gemara says if you want a hint when the process of Mashiach is starting, then you'll know when you finally see, after thousands of years, that the land in Israel, nothing grows. People try to live in Israel and nothing happens. If you see that suddenly the land is starting to give its fruit back, and people can try and grow again trees in Israel and vines, and it giving fruit, then you know something is happening. It's on its way. And as you can see, the past 100 years, everything has changed. After so many years that nothing grew in Israel, suddenly everything started growing again. And this is the fruit, or this is the wine that comes from the fruit that's from Israel. I apologize, I can't talk more because of the noise. You see, I talk with my hands a lot, right? That means I'm Israeli. You know, we talk with our hands. You know, the guy is coming out of the shuk, out of the market. He has 2 watermelons in hand. He's walking down the street, and somebody comes to him and says to him, "Tell me, where is Ben Yehuda Street?" So he says to him, "1 second, can you hold the watermelons for me?" He gives him the watermelons. I say, "I don't know where it is," and takes the watermelons back, right? So now I know you heard me because you laughed. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy.
All right, guys, so I'm going to bring up the next speaker. Actually, it was totally min hashamayim. You don't normally get a rabbi in America from one of the, I guess, communities in Judea and Samaria. In this case, it's Samaria, or Binyamin. He's from a very special community called Ma'ale Levona, which the name actually translates as, in English, a scent of frankincense. And it talks about the frankincense that were in the temple, and it's the ascent of the frankincense. When you do they were doing the, I guess, the sacrifice, so it was the frankincense that were coming up. So whenever you guys see pictures of the temple, there's like, you know, people draw paintings, there's like smoke you see. Either it's the smoke from the korban, or it could be the frankincense. There's a smell. So I just want to bring up Rabbi Yair Shachor. He's going to talk to us about, I guess, some of the laws of, I guess, farming and Shemitah, I don't know. And this week's Parsha, how it connects. Very, very interesting stuff.
Shavua Tov. My name is Yair Shachor, and I'm the rabbi of the small town called Ma'ale Levona, which is right next to Shiloh. Amichai Lourie, the winemaker, is my next door neighbor for over 25 years. And Baruch Hashem, we had the opportunity these days to be together in the States. He came for his business, and I come for my business. What's my business? I run a yeshiva in the town Ma'ale Levona. This yeshiva is bringing boys after high school, preparing them to the army service. By special preparation, nowadays the army needs more technological, skilled soldiers rather than combat soldiers. So the army said, "You have a yeshiva, would you mind to teach the students a special profession that will help the army, mechanics, electronics, etc., to maintain all the sophisticated equipment that they have?" And Baruch Hashem, that's what we are doing in this yeshiva. They study Torah in the morning, and they study the profession in the afternoon for 2 years. Then they go to the army for 3 years. So I come to the States to raise funds for that yeshiva. I was Shabbat at the 5 towns, and Amichai was here also Shabbat. So we said, We have enough together in Ma'ale Levona. We should be together here also in America. Here we are. So let's speak few words about farming in Israel. Farming in Eretz Israel, which the wine that we are speaking about is a product of that farming, is not only something that's related to business, it's not only something that's related to good taste, it's also very much related to holiness. Working in farming, agriculture in Eretz Israel is a holy act. How do we know that? How do we know that working the land of Israel is a holy act? It's mentioned in our Parashat Shavua that we just read today in Shul. It's called Parashat Mishpatim. Parashat Mishpatim describes the three major holidays of the Jewish people, which is Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Pesach we eat matzot, and Shavuot we receive the Torah in Har Sinai, and Sukkot we sit in a sukkah for 7 days. Now, these names, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, are very common, the common names. But in our parasha, the Torah doesn't call Pesach, it doesn't say Pesach. It's called Chag HaAviv, the holiday of Aviv. What's Aviv? Aviv we use as a word of spring. Spring in Hebrew is Aviv. But the word Aviv, says Rashi, comes from the word Av. Av is like a father, a grown up, because the wheat is already grown at the time of Pesach. Therefore, Pesach is called the holiday of Aviv, of the spring, because it wants to show that it's a time when already the wheat is ready for harvesting. Now, Chag Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, is called in our parasha the holiday of the harvesting, Chag HaKatzir, the harvesting. Why? Because after it was already big and full at the time of Pesach, 50 days afterwards, we harvest the crops, the wheat, and therefore Shavuot is called the holiday of harvesting. Sukkot is called Chag HaAsif, the holiday of collecting all the wheat that was in the field during the summer to dry out from the sun. Now it's time to bring it in and to start to use it along the year for the bread and all the other foods that we put the wheat in. And the question is, why the Torah describes or gives the name of these holidays by farming, by what the situation with the wheat. Wheat is growing, you could just harvest the wheat and eat it. Why the Torah connected the names of the holidays with the growth of the wheat? And the answer is just what we said. Farming in Eretz Israel is not just an act of doing business. Farming in Eretz Israel has holidays, holy day, as holy, everything is full of kedusha, of holiness. That's the first that we see in our parasha. But also, okay, we harvested the wheat, we brought it in the house. What's going on now? We have to do certain mitzvot, commandments in this wheat. For example, we have to take a portion from the wheat and give it to the Kohen. And we have to take another portion and give it to the poor. And another portion, eat it in Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim is a holy place, and we take the holy wheat and bring it up to Yerushalayim. All this shows us that living in Eretz Israel, farming in Eretz Israel, is something very holy. I remember once I heard by the name of the Khatam Sofer, one of the big rabbis 200 years ago, he said, just like you put the tefillin every day on your arm, which is an act of holiness, of mitzvah, of a commandment, same thing when you work the Holy Land, it's just like putting tefillin on your body. Also, we know that when you do the portions that I said to give out the Kohen and everything, it's only for 6 years. because the 7th year is called Shemitah, and this is the year you have to abandon your field, and everybody who passes over and wants to pick one grapes or whatever from your field, from your crops, he's allowed to, because everything is abandoned. That also shows that whatever we grow in Eretz Israel doesn't belong to us. It's a present that we get from Hashem, from God, to 6 years use it, and the 7th year give it out to the people, to the poor, or to everyone. What I wanted to say, a few weeks ago, I gave a sermon in our town, and I said to the people, you know, the Torah wants us to be farmers. What do you think about being farmers? So people said, what are you talking about? We're working in high tech, we're working in all kinds of works. To be a farmer, it's nice. But only 1% of the population are working in farming. And 99%, they can't do their living from farming. Because nowadays, farming is, you don't need so much labor. Very few people with automatic and tractors and everything, they do the work right away. So what do you mean we'll be back farmers? I said, you're right. We can't, the Torah doesn't want us to go backwards. But the Torah says, if you are living in Ma'ale Levona, for example, and you have a backyard, in your backyard, what do you have there? Do you have the trees and all kinds of fruits, etc.? Or you just don't look at it and it grows all kinds of weeds, etc. So the answer is, the Torah wants us that every piece of land, okay, we won't make our living out of farming, but still, we should consider farming in Eretz Israel as a holy act. Just like doing every other mitzvah commandment, we should do this also. And that's why I ask people, please plant trees, do whatever you do in your backyard, and have the ability to do all those commandments from the trees that will grow in your backyard. Now, I want to tell you, just this week, few days before, one day before I went, came on Thursday. On Wednesday, I said, I'm going for a few days to America. I need to do something in my backyard because my almond tree had a problem. It has a kind of illness. And I had to take the special antibiotics that I bought in Yerushalayim and put it in the ground because the tree has to absorb it and get healthy back. The almonds were very good all the years. I don't want, it's 25 years old tree. It's chaval, I would say. It's a pity if it's gonna die. That's for one example. Also, I said to myself, Sukkot is coming in a half a year time, and I need some hadassim. How do you say hadassim in English? Myrtle. Myrtle. And for the arba minim, for the lulav, you need the hadassim. And it used to be said that on Tu B'Shvat, people are praying in the diaspora. People were praying to have an etrog, a kosher etrog for arba minim in Sukkot because it was very rare. Nowadays, don't pray, just work and do your work in your backyard. And I went out to my myrtles and I just cut them this height. This is the time when if you start to water it, then the sun would come and it would grow very fast. And we have the triangular myrtle that is kosher for the lulav. That's another thing that I did just 2 days before I came. And just every other day that I have time, I go out to my yard and work the land. Okay, that's not my business, it's not my, I don't make a living out of it, but I feel the connection to the land through working the land. Whenever we go out of the Yishuv, we see the Arabs, at the time of the harvesting of the wheat, they just move from the house and they live in their fields. They have tents and all the family is there and they're sleeping there, working from the sunrise until sunset. And I'm jealous because I'm saying that shows they love their land, because few weeks every year they sleep on the ground in their land. What do we do about our land? We drive our cars and say hello and that's it? No, we have to work the land too. Okay, we can't do it at their fields still, Ezrat Hashem in the future, But now we could do it in our yards, in our place where we live. We should feel the connection to our land, because Hashem didn't bring us back to Israel just to live like we're living here in New York. No, it had an intention. Hashem had an intention that we come back to Eretz Israel, we dwell the land, we connect to the land. Whenever I pick my olives, I do my olive oil by myself. I pick the olives from the tree that's between me and Amichai, and one of my kids, he took a picture that I'm just hugging the tree, not because I love him, but because I wanted to pick all the olives that are spread in the tree. So I was just going like that, and he took the picture. I said, yes, I'm hugging the tree. That's what we have to do. We have to hug Eretz Israel, the farming, and the connection to the land as we described. And by that, we'll have the added value of not just living there, but breathing the holiness of the land through the work of the land. These grapes were, that the wine is done from, came from Eretz Israel. Whoever drinks the wine is not only absorbing the holiness of the grapes into his body and soul, but also once we buy this wine and we drink it, we motivate the farmers in Eretz Israel to do more and more grapes and to do more and more good wine. And by that, we are doing what Hashem wanted us to do in Eretz Israel, to do the most farming that we can do. Thank you very much. It was very nice to speak in front of you. Shavua Tov.
I'm going to bring out the next, I guess, entertainer or speaker. This is my really good friend. He grew up in the old city of Jerusalem. He, in my opinion, he's a Talmid Chacham. He's a big Torah scholar. He doesn't like to admit it. And he specializes in, I guess, Tanakh and Jewish history. And he's going to tell us a little bit about, I guess, Shiloh and the Torah, the Parsha. What is the connection of this place? What is this place? And also show us some really cool stuff. So his name is Nachliel. Take it away.
Okay, short and to the point. So I got my props here. I'll start with two personal stories which connect to Shiloh. So I'm from Jerusalem, and we often would go to Shiloh for Tu B'Av, for celebrations. We have family in Shiloh. I have a cousin, Ira Rappaport, who's a very well-known tour guide in Shiloh and a very funny character. And I'm going to show you some stuff that I brought from Shiloh when I dug there. You know, as part of there's a very well-developed visitor center, Merkaz Mevakrim Shiloh. Movies, multimedia, actors, lots of stuff to do. If you got kids, you're looking for something to do, go to Shiloh. It's a great, lovely, lots of stuff to do there. They'll keep you hooked. They'll keep you wired the whole time. So the other one is that when I was 6, 7 years old, I was learning in Zilberman, in a cheder in the old city, where we just read Chumash all day. And a friend of mine, a Syrian fellow who lived in Brooklyn at the time, was in Israel for the year at the Sephardic Center. He gave me as a gift the book of Shmuel, which is all about Shmuel and his father Elkanah, who would gather all the people every year to come and to go up to Shiloh, which was kind of in the sidelines. People were kind of ignoring it, but the Mishkan was there for 369 years, and he got people to get up and to move and to get them involved. So I was hooked by this story, and until now it's my favorite book, Sefer of Shmuel. And it was such a distraction that the Rebbe at school had to say, take it home, we're learning Vayikra now, you're distracting everyone. So it's like, it was a little bit too much, because Vayikra, you know, offerings, korbanot, where's all the action? And Shmuel is full of action, so I loved all that stuff. Now, being from the old city, my father's a tour guide and an archaeologist. I grew up, my house is on the wall of Chizkiyahu HaMelech, King Hezekiah, 2,700 years. So when, you know, when I come to the States and I look at archaeology that's like 300 years old, I say that's cute. You know, so I love how things connect and to bring these things to life. And lately I've had the privilege to be able to share these ideas and stories in museums. Bringing people to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Tanakh, Jewish history, Chagim, all that stuff in the museum. I bring schools, I bring people, communities, families. It's a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you two different things. So You know, this week's parasha, I mean, I can't be too repetitive. It's been mentioned a lot. We talk about the Trumat HaMishkan, building the Mishkan. Mishkan was in Shiloh. A story that I like to tell through 2 bottles of wine from Shiloh, and I do this often. I'm lucky to have bottles that were freshly opened. So the first one is mosaic. We didn't get there yet, but many mosaics, we're talking Second Temple period and so on, mosaics were found in floors of synagogues and private homes in Shiloh. And I have with me here 2 mosaics, 2 pieces of mosaic that I dug up in Shiloh. We're talking Second Temple, but we also have some earlier stuff. So mosaics from Shiloh. Yeah, of course. Make sure they come back. This is not Chamesh Avanim. Okay? So the stones themselves come from houses. Mosaics started being used in floors of houses and synagogues in the Roman/Byzantine period. So we're talking 1500 to 2000 years. It's relatively new. Yeah? And the second one, the one we've just had, there's a lot to talk about in terms of this bottle. And it's connected to so many different things. So first of all, you know, if you take a look at the picture, we say Nichnas Yain Yatsa Sod. So this is called Sod, and the vines are made up from the word Sod, 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 Sod. A lot of Sod. So it's, you know, there's a lot of secrets going on here in this wine. Now it's a picture of the Mishkan, and in this picture of the Mishkan, you see the Seir HaMishtaleach. You see the scapegoat, where we talk about the scapegoat coming out from the Mishkan and going out to be pushed off the cliff. So that's a story that you have. Now, in addition to that, is the winery's symbol is a shol, is a bull. What does a bull have to do with Shiloh? So, Shiloh is in the portion of Yosef. Now, a beautiful story here is about the connection of the place itself to the Mishkan. A shard, this is a broken piece of pottery that was found in Shiloh as well, that I found. Now, many broken pieces of pottery were found in the outskirts of the city, outside of where the city was. What are they doing there? We're talking First Temple period. What are they doing there? Well, in Yerushalayim, we can eat the offering, the animals that are brought as offerings that you can eat them within the boundaries of the city because they have sanctity, they have kedusha, they have to be eaten within the boundaries of the city. But in the Mishkan of Shiloh, there were no boundaries. The boundary of where you can eat food with sanctity is as far as you can see. Why as far as you can see? Well, first of all, there's a beautiful hint because shur, alei shur, lashur also means to be able to see. Right? Tashuri merosh amana, merosh senur v'cheromon, it can be to see. But also the bull is the symbol of Yosef. Why is that in the portion of Yosef where the Mishkan was there, you can eat things which have kedusha, eat them as far as you can see, because Yosef himself did not take advantage of what was not his. He did not, whatever his eyes desired, he did not take advantage of that. We have the famous story of Potiphar's wife who tried to seduce him and he never gave in. He said, it's not mine. I don't touch what is not mine. So therefore the rabbis say, a person who did not enjoy what he saw that would not belong to him, you can eat sanctity there for as far as you can see. Bechol haro'eh. So as far out of the city, now you finish eating something out of a clay vessel, you can't use it for anything else, you can't clean it, you can't purify it, you break it. You break it, so once it's kind of like Jimi Hendrix, he plays on the guitar and then he breaks it, because ma'alin b'kodesh ve'en moridin. Once Jimi Hendrix played the guitar, it can't get any higher, you know? So you break it. So that's an idea. Now, in and of itself, Shiloh ended up kind of falling to the sidelines, and when Jeremiah comes and warns the people about the pending doom, about Nebuchadnezzar, about Babylon rising, he says, if you guys don't fix what you do, I will destroy this place like I destroyed Shiloh, which is kind of strange. We never hear of Shiloh being destroyed, like Eli dies, the ark goes into exile, comes back, it kind of falls into the sideline. But it's an icon of something which was a place which was destroyed. Now, I'm going to fast forward to the destruction of the Second Temple. Underneath my house, we expanded our basement, our miklat, which is a bomb shelter, but it's really like a storage place. And in our miklat, when we expanded, we found some ashes from when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. So this is only about 2,000 years old, but these ashes are from the destruction of Jerusalem underneath our house. And we use this during a wedding. We say Mishkachech Yerushalayim, and the Chatan puts a little bit of ashes, so we use these ashes from Churban Bait Sheni. And what's beautiful here, to tie it all together, is that we are celebrating wine from these regions which have suffered destruction and have been abandoned for so many years, and we're coming back and celebrating the rebuilding, the rejuvenation through wine and blessing. So as Rav Shachor said, he discussed, En lecha ketz megule mizeh. If you want to see the coming of redemption, of Geulah, if Eretz Yisrael is giving its fruits and developing and all this product is coming out, En lecha ketz megule mizeh. That is the most revealed expression of the land coming to life out of the love of the land, the love to the people, and Geulah. So in this time where we talk about La Yehudim Ata Orah v'Simcha v'Sason v'Ikar, Ken tiyeh lanu, may we rejoice in Geulah Shlema. Thank you very much.
Shavua Tov Merach. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? Nice to see you. So, we just got in from Muncie, a little bit of a drive. So, my friend here was just showing 2,000-year-old stones. So I brought toothpaste, a toothbrush, and mouthwash. Why? Okay? I'm gonna put these right here. How often in our lives are people trying to teach us how to get all the bad stuff out, right? We want to make sure we wash ourselves. We want to make sure we rinse our mouth out. We want to rinse our mouth out. We want to brush our teeth. We want to floss our teeth. Got to get all the bad stuff out. Get the bad stuff out. We want to go to the mikveh. We want to get the bad stuff off our body. We want to rinse our hands for tuma, negelvasser, all these things. Get the bad stuff out. How many times in our lives are people telling us and teaching us how to make sure we enjoy what's going in? So I had an epiphany this last week and I was thinking about it. I went to the dentist and they said, you know, Yeshua, your teeth look pretty good. It must be from rinsing the alcohol in your mouth. So we're talking about wine. We have aromas, we have flavors, we have qualities, things of which we can connect to at a very deep level. But are we really, truly getting to how much we're being given by Hashem through right here? Halacha l'maisa, in the Shulchan Aruch, it says, on the Mizbeach, the wine for the Mizbeach has to look good, smell good, and taste good. The root in Shiloh is the foundation of those laws. So, what are we doing? We see people, they get a glass, they're going to have just like an extra glass. I'm going to do exactly what no one should ever do, okay? You see the guy, and I'm going to say a bracha this way. You see the guy, he sits down with his friends. Oh, it's so good to see you. Baruch Hashem, Baruch atah l'melech haolam borei pri hagafen. What a waste of a bracha. I'm not saying the bracha is not sweet, but if a person has to grab the back of their head to be able to enjoy something, where would he, in the gym? Were we exercising? No. Amichai and I talked about this. You open a bottle of wine from Israel. L'chaim bracha. Anywhere in the world, you can open a wine from Shiloh. You pull the cork and you can smell Shiloh. There's a little air in there. Let's start by putting the best things into us right there. We haven't poured in the glass, we haven't said a bracha, nothing. We just began, and we're already in something very special. My job in the world, in my previous life, was to attract people on a dance floor, thousands of people, that most of the music I played, no one ever heard it before. Now my job in the world is to be not a maven, but I am the Khan of sour. Nachon, I'm the Khan of sour. I'm not a connoisseur. I'm here to convince people that tasting the wine, like in the times of the Beis HaMikdashim, is good. Because it only says that wine b'di'evid could be helistin. Helistin means by the sun in Greek, helios. So it means wine, the grapes that were on the vine too long, is only b'di'evid okay. That's sweet. So 99% of the time, we're being told in the Torah the wine was dry. So I'm the Khan of sour. Okay? When we taste this and smell this wine correctly, we need to spend time on it. The Ketayudas, the incense, it says it invigorated our entire neshama when we came around the Beit HaMikdash. It's a very special thing, the aroma. The aroma. It's like a beautiful song. This man plays music. All of us, I imagine, are into music at some level. It gets us going. It's a feeling. You ever smelled a wine with your eyes closed? There's the song of the aroma. You don't have to see it. You don't have to feel it. But it's talking. You're feeling it. Right? So please, always think, if we're going to spend this much time in our lives to get all the bad stuff out, spend time putting it in. Appreciate what we're doing. It's really special. And it's not a taiva to appreciate and have kavana, a feeling in our neshama of what we're putting in. And my last thought on this, how do we know that it's not a taiva to do this? Because the man that came from the sky, Hashem made it taste like our favorite thing. So now we have a choice what we're putting in. Now we can find what we really love. But how do we find it? We smell it, we swish it around our mouth, we share it with our friends, we look at the label of the bottle, we meet the people that are putting together in the fields, we can walk through the fields and the grapes, we can have the whole experience. So I wish everybody a bracha, that we connect to things as deep as a level as how many doctors that are trying to save our life from the bad stuff, that we use the good stuff and we stay away from the doctors. Except for when it's an emergency to save our life, chas v'shalom, we ever have to face this. So let's smell this wine, let's experience the mosaic from the physical stones in our bodies and our neshamas together, okay? So when you smell the wine, please keep our eyes closed. When you drink the wine, open your eyes and experience everything around us so that we can have full sensory experience when we taste the wine. Let's give it a smell. Anyone smell the earth a little bit? Smell the earth, the soil. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That's healthy soil. It's not the Negev.
It was just that. Once I had this good answer. It was just that with the wet.
Exactly. So someone said the soil is wet.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna say, it smells like a playground after a rainy night.
Okay. Now, if it's a drought, is that environment as enjoyable?
Yeah. If it's a drought?
If it's a drought, is the aroma of the earth as enjoyable as when it's wet?
No, it's better when it's wet.
When it's wet.
Yeah.
More expressive.
Yeah. Saw you there this morning.
If someone was to put a name to a berry, is it a wild berry? Is it a bushy berry? Is it a prickly stalked berry? Anyone care to share what are they smelling? Raspberries. Raspberries. What else? Give it a smell, please.
I smell Shiloh.
Does anyone smell the wood?
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
Does anyone smell the wood at all? Sweet wood. Not just wood, but sweet wood. So we have sweet wood, we have raspberries, we have wet soil. Now, does that sound like something you want to just go like this? Why would we want to miss all of this? And there's more. As the wine breathes and opens up, and the way I like to explain that is, Shimon Bar Yochai went in a cave, he learned with his son for 10 years, he came out, he looks at the first thing, he burns it. Why?
overload. Information overload.
Too fast, too powerful, with too much, right? Now, wine. Amichai's wine. This is wine that is separated out into different barrels after the fermentation, then put back together in another one to age even further, correct? On the mosaic. Then checked all the way through to see where it's going to finish the best, then put in a bottle, then sat in the cellar, then brought to the market, then bought, then brought to the table. Again, way too much effort to be going like this. It just doesn't make sense. And because of all that time and compassion, when this is a baby, it needs time when it comes out of its cave, the cellar, to relax. How long, when this first comes to market, should it relax? Open. 2 hours? 3 hours? How many years would be the best? 3 years to start? Okay. So this is the Shimon Bar Yochai theory to me. We have to, in our mind, go, you know what? I know I pulled it out of the cave, but I'm either going to let it really open up before I put it in my cave, or I'm going to put it back in the cave in my house for a little while, and I'm going to have it ready when it comes. So again, there's this thing about so much energy here, needs to be more energy here to really appreciate it. So let's sip this wine together. I'm going to grab a chair. And let's taste it. But don't just swallow it. Yeah, exactly. So think about this every time we drink wine from now on, please. And then push it out and think, you know what? I'm going to do it here first, on the good side, not just on the bad one. We have 365 mitzvot for what we're not supposed to do, 248 what we're supposed to do. We have a heavy load to what to stay away from. Let's at least put that much energy in what we're supposed to do. And then what's the 248? The limbs of our body. We're going to put this in the limbs. It's going to help our bloodstream where our neshama flows. So let's swish it around our mouths. Take a small amount. And let's experience the wine in our mouth for the recommended time.
I have a question. When you swish this around your mouth, does it stain your teeth?
Not if you brush afterwards. It's a balance. Okay. L'chaim v'bracha. To connecting to the foundation of where we're going, which is Shiloh and the Mishkan. And we need to arrive ourselves in the Beis HaMikdash, at least here first. At least here first. L'chaim v'bracha. Let's drink it together. Let's keep it in our mouth. Let's swish it around. And then when you swallow that small amount, take a deep breath of air to bring it in. That's that Shimon Bar Yochai again. To relax it, also in our mouth afterwards. L'chaim v'bracha. This takes it all out, and right now we just coated our mouth. All over the cheeks, the fruit, the wood, the soil. I'm getting some leather tones. Anyone getting a little bit of leather?
It's very astringent.
Stringent, right? So it's a baby. You're getting the youth of the wine.
Is that right?
Yes. As the wine will age or breathe, it will become less astringent. It will become smoother and softer and even lighter with its age. And you'll start getting notes where the fruit will come down. And you'll start getting caramels, leathers, peppers. And this is the maturity of what he put together with his vision. When to harvest the grapes, what barrels to use, when to open the bottle. every one of these affects his work's outcome.
When was this bottle?
What year is this? 14? 14.
Sitting in the bottle for like 4 years.
No. It was harvested in 2014, the grapes. Then they were put in separate barrels by each grape. Then when he felt they were ready to come together in a harmony in the mosaic, where you could put the putty in the middle with his mind, then they were put in back into one barrel together as a blend. Then once it was finished aging for what he felt was the right time to put in a bottle, then put on the shelf for a period of time to settle down and relax, then brought to market. So you're talking a 3-year process probably, 2.5, for the whole thing to play out, for us to be able to go like this. Six months. So I know it's going to be hard, but leave a little teensy bit in the glass for right before you either bench or go home. You'll taste the different wine. If you how should I say? You enter a great park, a beautiful place, right? It's a different experience coming and going. When you enter a city with all the lights, and then you go home at night, it's a different experience. So really get into what we can experience there to Hashem. Let me give you a little more notes.
Are you ruining the wine experience by drinking it as soon as you open the bottle? Would that be ruining a severe disservice?
No.
It's better to keep it open for
If you have the time, Amichai, he asked if we're ruining the experience by drinking when we first open the bottle. I said, if you have the time, you're not. If you don't have the time, you are. If you have 3 hours to sit at the table after opening and you taste all the way, it's the best. If you don't have the time, open it before and then drink it during that smaller period of time.
Is opening a bottle just like that sufficient for airing it out?
If you have more time, the best thing to do is you in the restaurant, you borrow one of these empty and you dump it.
Yeah, because then you're letting it hit the air every part.
Whether it's this any shape, doesn't matter. Just dump the wine and let it bubble and move and shake. This is your free decanter at every restaurant. The water carafe. It's not the best, but it'll help a lot. It's kind of a funny shape, actually.
Because if you just open up the bottle of wine like that, the only part of the wine that's actually being aerated
Right, this little bit.
is the top.
Right.
It's whatever's on the top.
No, I think it goes from the top.
Does it? Only if you move it, right?
But this is the only air that can enter.
Right, but he's saying the wine on the bottom is still, like, somehow it's still being aerated, right? Like, you're opening it, the wine on the bottom is still breathing.
Now, a couple closing thoughts. For presentation purposes, leaving this part on is great. Okay? But if you're in a hurry and you have a cheap corkscrew, please pull the whole thing off. Why? People are in too much of a habit of just digging their corkscrew straight into this metal, popping the cork, and they leave this metal sticking up in the air, and they pour the wine across metal. Not good. Again, wait. Make sure you're prepared to drink it as much as you want to. Second, if you're going to drink a wine and you have a week, during that week, leave the wine standing, not laying down, going toward when you're going to drink it. So if there's sediment, it goes to the bottom. Okay? Another thought, drink with friends, even if it's just one. Drink with friends. Share the experience. It gets better and better and better and better. Reflection. So, I'm going to say thank you to Amichai.
Let's say thank you to Yeshua that slept all the way.
And remember, spend as much time putting it in as taking it out. because the more time we spend putting good things in, the less time we have to take things out. I wish everyone health, safety, longevity, and enjoying the beautiful flavor of the wine that's leading us in the times of Beis HaMikdash. In Sotah, it says in the Gemara, before we have Mashiach, that we will have grapes more abundant and the price will go up. That's pshat in Sotah in the Gemara, pshat. So in Israel, the prices are going up. Why? Because the quality is going up. The whole world is going, that's good wine. And the volume is going up because there's so many people interested in making the fruit propagate in the land. So here we are, we're at the footsteps together. Let's not make a mistake and come out too fast, but let's also run toward it at the same time. Shavuot Tov U'Merach.